You guys don't even believe how powerful they are. Just us, I don't know how would you explain it, Alex? We're just kind of we're like
It's like,
brains.
we're masterminding
Yeah,
together. Like, you know, you're just like, oh, what about this? And what challenge are you dealing with? What challenge am I
yeah,
dealing with? And then like we're just helping each other in whatever our challenges are.
yeah,
Because Indar really likes to talk about the struggles, the challenges, the problems. I like that about him.
yeah. I mean, everyone out there, you guys see it on Instagram and Facebook how easy and everything it is flipping, but you know, in actuality, it is a tough business. It's a hard business. It's a lot of money, big numbers at stake. So yeah, it's nice to talk with like-minded people.
Aloha, my deal makers. Gonna get Will in here. Got the early birds in there. What's up, Rod? What's up, Nick? What's up, everybody? Everybody's coming on in. I'm excited about today's webinar. You guys have been following along. I know Indar is gonna drop some value bombs on us. This guy's flipping a bunch of property over in Hawaii. What's up, my man, Will Wall?
You're How's it going, Alex? Good to see you, man.
See all the usual suspects are starting to trickle in, and we maybe got some new ones. Can you hear me pretty well?
Hear you loud and clear, man. I'm excited as well. As you mentioned, you know, I know you get to see Indar pretty regularly out there on the islands, but I've gotten a chance to meet Indar as well, and the dude is just as polished as it comes as an investor, and I think he's going to drop some gems today for you guys. Again, the dude has been flipping. He does out of state. He does, you know, rental properties. The guy is just all over the place. And so, you know, really a good dude all around. We're going to get him on in a couple minutes here, right after we finish up. Just some brief housekeeping. You guys know the drill. If you don't mind, go ahead and use that chat feature down at the bottom. We want you to chat. Let us know where you're from, what your name is, where we can find you if we want to connect with you online. You know, and want to find you somewhere else. Where are we able to find you? What's your Instagram handle? Let us know who you are. As Alex mentioned, we have a lot of the usual suspects kind of on here, and so it should be pretty fun to get to see some of these people here. So we will go from there.
Hey, can you? I put in Ruben by accident as a panelist because it just came down so fast. What do I do there? Too.
Let's click his button, and you should be able to change to participant.
Let me see here.
Or if you want, you can pass me over the host and I can.
Yeah, let me just make you the host and then you can take over from there. Sorry, Warren, we're going to have to demote you, buddy. Nothing personal. Shout out to Warren, by the way. He let me borrow his car when I went over to Oahu. New investor, has, I think, 2 rentals already, and just a great guy. Went hiking together. So shout out to Warren. Also, obviously, shout out to also Jeremy Mateo. He was a great host as well over there, and Indar as well. A bunch of other cool people that I got to hang out with. So, no, but I'm excited, I will, because I'm back here on Maui. Going to be going to LA next week.
Yep.
We've got a bunch of deals in the pipeline. Just a lot of great updates. Did you want to talk about anything specifically so we could jump into the updates?
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. As I mentioned, guys, use that chat feature. Let us know where you're from, what's going on. Would love to kind of connect and get you guys in there. As always, we have a Facebook group that you guys are more than welcome to follow. I'll post the link for that here shortly. And if you guys do want to join and follow and get some tidbits, some information, some nuggets, a lot of good posts in there. Alex records some special videos. He actually just recorded one from the Ryan Pineda mastermind that we went to about a month ago. There's going to be an update in there. And that's, you know, actually one of the masterminds that Indar is a part of. So a lot of really good stuff to learn in there. I know, Alex, you mentioned you were out in Oahu. Tell us a little bit, like, what were you doing out there? Were you looking at some deals? Were you just surfing? You know, got tired of the Maui ways? What was going on out there, man?
Thank you, Will. Well, I got an off-market lead on Oahu, and I went over there to pursue the deal because I talked to the seller. It looks like there is a lot of distress with the property, distress with the situation. It's like a probate deal. And so I vetted the deal, flew over. And it's interesting because I posted something about this, but I imagined this when I was in Los Angeles, considering moving to Hawaii, you guys. I remember thinking like, hey, sometimes I drive from the San Fernando Valley an hour to go look at this property in South LA or Compton. Wouldn't it be cool if you could just fly over to Oahu or island hop and go look at deals in virtually same time frame, because it's a short flight, it's like 30, 45 minutes. and I'm like island hopping, looking at deals, and now it's happening. So I'm just so freaking grateful that this turning out this way. But yeah, I went over there, took a look at the deal. I'm still actively negotiating it. Could be a monster deal, could be a great flip opportunity. So just still active negotiation there. But while I was there, I got a chance to hang out with several people. We got to do a higher level meetup. And you guys, I want to stress to you guys this is that sometimes you have to go to people. If you respect someone, if there's someone that you need to, you want to learn from, someone that you want to get connected with, you have to make it easy for them. And that's by being present. That's why showing up is so important. That's why I'm very quick to, hey, I'll jump on a plane or I'll go out and go meet people or I'll network like that, because I don't want to, keep it virtual. I want to meet people in person. I know with COVID, we still have to keep, be cautious and whatnot, but just it's so important to get that FaceTime with people that you want to connect with on a deeper level. And I was able to do that on Oahu again and continue to strengthen these relationships, continue to learn things about, the Hawaii market and everything else. And then also got to experience some of the island that I haven't experienced. I checked out Electric Beach. It's interesting to me. Sometimes I talk to my friends at on Maui or on Oahu, and hey, I tell them I went to this one place, and then like they haven't even been there themselves. So I don't know. I'm adventurous that way. I like to check out the environment I'm at. That's why I did so much hiking when I was in LA. All these off trails, these trails that are off the beaten path, and that's just my personality to constantly be on the next adventure. But back on Maui, great news on that. The note is we closed on our first deal yesterday, you guys. So freaking excited. Like it's been a long road, a little bit more than 5 months, but the first 2-3 months living here, I didn't really go after deals right away. Because I wanted to learn the lay of the land. I wanted to make sure the LA team was trained, that everybody was in the right seats, that everybody knew what they were doing. And we were still figuring that out for the first 3-4 months that I was living here. But then I got introduced to or met Alex Ibarra. Then he's become the acquisitions director here for Island Home Offer, which is our company here in Hawaii. And he's just a rock star. He's continued to step it up and got us the first deal. And we've been working on that. We closed on that. So we're now negotiating with the tenants to work with them on that one. So really excited about that. And then going to LA next week, because now we have a total of 8 transactions going on in LA. And I think we're going to get like another 2. So I'm going to be headed to LA next week for probably about 7 to 10 days, just to check in on projects, check on everything, meet with the team. We'll probably do some, meetups or something. But I'm super pumped about today's show because I know Indar is going to drop some value. I know that, he's definitely someone that's you guys are going to be able to learn from. And on the team note, I wanted to just stress that like the team is growing, you guys. I'm really grateful for like Renee. Renee's been helping out with, some driving for dollars, some cold calling. Paul, is more of a partner, but he is handling everything in the Antelope Valley, just complete rock star. We got Eliam out there in California City now helping Paul out with some of just keeping eyes on the properties. We've got Lindsay out there in the IE helping out a little bit here and there on other things and driving me around. Thank you for that. And Kayvon is now a partner on the deal. He brought in a deal. Jay's out there. She's not on the webinar because she's out there getting deals, you guys, and she's busy doing that. But once she gets her next deal, and once the networking thing comes here for the networking here for what we do here, she'll be on as well. But we definitely miss her. But yeah, man, I'm ready to get started. Let me know what you need, bro. I'm pumped.
Team's growing, Alex, and I think a lot of people are really excited for you. I see multiple people in the chat. Congrats again, the Alex and Alex team, the A team out there, you guys, locking in the first deal. Like that is absolutely huge. And I know, like you mentioned, a guy Indar is going to be on here a little bit later, and he definitely has taken down quite a few deals in Hawaii. So can't wait to hear some lessons from him. In the meantime, Alex, let's talk about a couple lessons you've learned. Like we said, you're doing a deal now out in Hawaii on the islands. People would mostly consider that to be an expensive market. Los Angeles, by all measures, an expensive market. What are some quick lessons that you've taken that you want to share about investing in an expensive market?
Great point and question. I love it because that's one of the things that a lot of people reach out to me on Instagram and Facebook and all these other social media outlets and asking like, how are we doing deals in expensive markets? And the first thing I want to say about that is that I learned this through doing a lot of deals, which is that there's just no one company, no one investor that could dominate and just buy everything. And so you really need to go in with that mindset, like that, hey, I can compete. And I went in with that too, because there's so many houses, there's so many opportunities, because it's such a large area. I mean, think about LA County. There's, millions of houses. So how can any one person or one company buy them all? They can't. I've seen that. A company that I worked for had 80-90 million dollars of capital. We're buying 20-30 houses a month, and then we would still lose out on a bunch of deals. So just too many moving parts, you guys. Don't ever think that there's not deals in your market simply because it's expensive. It's not true. You can get deals. And then number two,
Alex, you've talked about that before too. It's the mindset, right? You have to wake up every day and know, like, look, there could be a deal out there for me. I just have to look. I have to find it. So love that. It doesn't matter expensive, small market, anywhere you go, you have to have that mindset that I'm going to find a deal today.
Yeah. And is there big players in the market? Yes. Is there big investors? Yes. Is there media investors? Yes. All those. But there's also those mom and pops and those, the guys that are doing 4 flips a year. Not everybody needs to be doing 20, 30, 50 deals a year. You could be good with just a couple. But if you believe that you can't do it because it's simply expensive, that's up to you. And actually, Jeremy Mateo, when I talked to him on Oahu, he had mentioned that kind of helped motivate him when I talked to him about that the first time I met him, which was like, don't worry about the money. Get the deal first, and I guarantee you'll be able to raise the money. And that's exactly what he did. So I'm really proud of him for that. But number two is, I want to say expensive is just relative. There's really, yes, it's expensive in LA and Maui and all that, but there's also a lot of people with money in these markets. So it's expensive. Maybe you don't have a bunch of boatloads of cash, but there is probably a lot of people, a lot of cash buyers, a lot of investors, a lot of people in your network, a lot of people that you can be introduced to, that there is a lot of cash in there. So, it's all relative. And, so, and the third thing I want to say is that when people tell me like, oh yeah, I could buy a house over here in Kansas City for 50 grand. Great, bro. How much can you make on that? That's probably more of a cash flow market. But even say they're flipping in these smaller markets, lower price points. I mean, what are they going to make? 20, 30 grand on the deal? Like our average profit deal is $50,000 to $70,000, and it's actually kind of going up. So, bigger risk, bigger rewards. There's just bigger checks. Like how much can a $20,000 check compared to a $50,000 check do for you in your life? So there's just bigger rewards there. And I've always loved the fact that you can do a deal in a expensive market and make 6 figures on one deal. What some people don't even make in a year, you could do that in one deal in an expensive market. So don't ever discount that opportunity in an expensive market. And then also, there is low price points in every single market. Now, is it going to be in the center of town? Probably not. But for example, we're buying properties in the Antelope Valley regularly for $150,000 to $200,000. And that's only an hour and a half drive to downtown LA. So I don't want any excuses saying that you can't buy properties at low price points. I bought properties in Los Angeles, core Los Angeles, in the low 300s before. It's getting harder and harder, but there is still parts of LA, like South LA, that you can get properties for the low to mid 300s, which people don't know this because they're not looking enough. But if you look enough, you'll see them. So another example is that last year, we bought 2 properties in Lancaster, one in Lancaster, one in Palmdale, each for, coincidentally, they're the same price, $97,500. I never thought I would ever be able to buy a property in LA County. Well, now granted, it is in the desert. It's not in the most desirable part of LA County, but nonetheless, it is in LA County for under $100,000. So that proves to you guys, now it's harder and harder to do that now. Now that number is probably closer to like 130, 140, 150, but it's still there. So I just want you guys to know that and in Hawaii, there's areas like Kahului and all these other areas where you can, on Maui, you can buy property for like a house for like $400,000, $450,000. Now it's not going to be by the beach. It's not going to be the prime location, but you can still buy a house on an island of Maui for less than $500,000. So, yeah.
So I think those are some big tips there, man. I mean, again, it's really relative, right? Wherever you're looking, there's going to be deals. You should be able to find them. And we're going to go ahead and bring a guy on here. His name is Indar, and Alex can tell you a little bit more about him. But this guy is no stranger to deals. So can't wait for you guys to hear a little bit about him. And Alex, tell us a little bit about, Indar. How do you know Indar, and what's your guys' relationship like?
Well, I first saw his page, I want to say last year, when I begun to start just networking with more people through the weekly Zoom call for Coffee Talk. And there's my man. And so I started seeing him, and I just started to see the volume and all the transactions. And I just, you grow respect for people because you see them in the trenches every day, through, I mean, call that what you want to call it, but he's in the ring every day, right? I'm in the ring every day. So, that mutual respect is there. And then when I moved over to Hawaii, called them, just wanted to kind of, talk to him in person. We started have, just some high level conversations about all the stuff we've worked on. I think he's at 70, 80 deals. I'm, like 90 deals in this business. So, we have a lot to talk about. And then when I went over to Oahu, got to meet him in person and just build a deeper, bond. And then, he came over to Maui. We hung out with Brandon Turner and a couple of other cool people out here. We went to, Road to Hana. But like I said, I went to Oahu and I went out there and hung out with him and spent time and, and invested in building a relationship with him because I see the value. And, we just are like, I feel like we're brothers, like we have a brother here that we could just talk to each other about anything. It's not only about business too, guys. Like you want to get around other people that they could be your friends. I think Indar will probably make that point, but like I see him as a friend, a colleague. I don't see him as a competitor. When I was getting that deal or that lead in Oahu, I called him on it. Same day he goes, next day he goes look at it, gives me his, his expert opinion about that. That is super valuable. But I had earned that from him. He's not going to just do that for anybody either. And that's by building value in his life as well as I'm seeing it, vice versa. So yeah, I met him, and then we've just kind of built a great relationship. We talk a lot, and then recently he joined the Ryan Pineda coaching program, and so we're in there together, and then we're just constantly growing. So I'm really excited to talk to him and then have a really thorough conversation on how he can give you guys some value and all the experience that he has.
Let's go. Welcome, Indar. Again, thanks for joining us today, and I'm sure all the attendees here are super grateful to have you on as well. Tell us a little bit again, like what do you know about Alex, and what's your thoughts on him, and then if you don't mind, kind of just dive into your story and background and kind of what you're doing in real estate out there, man.
Right on, guys. First, just thank you for so much for having a chance to be on the show. And it's funny because me and Alex are good buddies, and I've been bugging him about getting a shot to be on his show because we hang out all the time. And even Will too, we're good friends. So it's awesome to finally be on the show and be able to talk the story with everybody out there. Some of these conversations me and Alex have had are you guys didn't even believe how powerful they are. Just us, I don't know how would you explain it, Alex? We're just kind of we're like
we're like
brains.
we're masterminding together. Like you're just like, oh, what about this? And what challenge are you dealing with? What challenge am I dealing with? And then like we're just helping each other in whatever our challenges are. Because Indar really likes to talk about the struggles, the challenges, the problems. I like that about him.
Yeah. I mean, everyone out there, you guys see it on Instagram and Facebook, how easy and everything it is flipping, but in actuality, it is a tough business. It's a hard business. It's a lot of money, big numbers at stake. So yeah, it's nice to talk with like-minded people. But a little bit about my background, I guess, story time. Born and raised local, Big Island. Born in Hilo, born in the jungle, actually, born on a water catchment. We had generator. Born just really, I don't want to say poor, but just in the boonies and in Pahoa, actually, on a pot farm. Grew up there, moved to Kona, grew up in Kona. Later on in life, what did I do? I got an electrical engineering degree. I got a business degree. Engineering is great, and don't get me wrong, electrical engineering, I can top off at 150,000 a year, maybe. Great money, don't get me wrong, but what did I want for my life? What I wanted more, in life. 150 is great, and most people are happy. It's very nice to have a W-2 job. I do miss that. It's nice to get a paycheck every Friday. It's nice to not have to worry about income. In a sense, you show up, you put your time in for money. I traded all of that for more. So now we leverage our money to make more money. Our time is really going into finding avenues to create money, to create income streams, to create a flip really is a source of leveraging money to make more money too. But yeah, we've been flipping since 2013. We kind of bought our first live-in flip. Me and my wife, She pressed me into going into one of those programs, and I was really against the educational side of things. And once I kind of went and started learning more, I just fell in love with it. And I'm a big proponent now in just signing up for education programs and going with and learning from all these different mentors. As I just signed up with Ryan's one as well, and just being a part of like-minded people, the network you get from it as well is a huge part of it all, as well as the learning, of course. But I continue to grow and learn and trying to just get better. I always feel like I'm a student at this, and I never feel like I know. I don't know nothing. I feel like I'm always asking questions and learning. Um, we started whatever 13, we bought our own property, sold it, made 90 grand. We used that 90 grand instead to start flipping. um, 2015 we dove head on in. I didn't start with a lot. I did 1 2 that year, 3 4 the next year, 4 5. It's a snowball. Um, a little bit of struggles at the beginning for all you new people out there. It took me about 9 months to get my first deal, and that was after spending 35,000 on a coaching program, diving on in every day, grinding from my job, 9 to 5 job. Do not give that up, by the way, until you forced to. And then night times watching all the educational. So I was grinding till late at night, and then wake up early and do it all over again. And I think that's what separates people in this business is people want it at the beginning stages, but where are you at 6 months from now? Where are you at 9 months from now? Are you still grinding then? And there's something about it. It's like we want that instant gratification. We all do, but you have to realize this game is it's a life. It's a life game. It's not a 1 year get rich quick scheme kind of thing. It is a grind, and it is a process to get to the next level. Um, and I really want to emphasize that. Maybe 6 months in, I had a deal. It was killer. I was so happy. I was so emotionally involved in it. I really wanted it, and I emphasize that because I don't get emotionally involved now into deals. And the deal fell out 2 days from closing, and I had money and everything lined up, and it was just a heartbreak because I was devastated because I thought. But then I had a mentor of mine that said, "Hey, well, you just learned the escrow process. You learned about going through J1. You learned about the process it takes. So don't take that as a loss. Take that as a value add. That's an experience you just learned." So and it was because then the next time I went through an actual escrow, I knew the process. To me, real estate was a whole new language. It was a whole new world. We talk about these terms that me and Alex are very familiar with, and that's why me and Alex can talk very freely about things, is because we understand a lot of the terms and the nuances of real estate. But I remember when I was new, a lot of it's a foreign language in its sense. Um, I can't think of words now. Escrows and purchase contracts and inspection periods and hard money and all these kind of things. It's really a learning process that I kind of thinking back now that I didn't really, I was just learning about all of that. And that was the best experience then, was going through that and failing, because then I stepped up and I went harder at it. And I think that's something that separates a lot of people. And that's Alex has that drive in him where he will go above and beyond for a long period of time. And that's what it separates people. I think in his businesses, it's not an overnight success kind of thing. We've worked hard, we've stumbled. I mean, I've lost 80 grand on a flip. That would, third flip ever, that would devastate people. And we pushed through that. We made 90 on the next one. So we just pressed through that and kept moving forward. You're gonna lose in this business. It's part of the business, and in these higher end markets we can talk about here in a second. It's more prevalent to get your numbers straight because of our price points. In a smaller end market, it's kind of, I don't want to say harder to screw up, but your losses are not going to affect your life as much as a higher end flip.
So Indar, I know you crushed it right there. I know two things that specifically kind of stood out to me is one, you said you're always learning,
Mhm.
even from the beginning days. And Alex, I mean, that's what we're doing the webinar for, right? Is provide you guys with this learning experience. So you heard it right here. Like Indar is still learning and he started off learning. So it's not like the learning ever stops, right?
Mhm.
He's joining masterminds still today when the guy has, you know, a current project load that would, you know, be some people's years and some people's careers in flipping. And this guy's doing that in a year and he's still looking for coaching, still looking for ways to get better.
Mhm.
And then the second one was just, you know, how when you get into those masterminds, it really does allow you to open up these higher level conversations, right? Where you're able to talk to people about more than just like, hey, this deal, but how are you sourcing that deal? How are you funding that deal? How are you doing all this stuff? Alex mentioned it when he first got on the call that you were one of the first people he called when he knew he was going to Hawaii, because he knew that he could have that higher level conversation with you and really kind of connect on that level there.
Yeah.
So those were just two of the things that I kind of caught right off the bat. And obviously it's an incredible story that we'll continue to kind of dive into here.
You're
Alex, you're
muted.
on mute.
The point that he made that I want to highlight is the fact that how long will you work for this in this business, right? It has to be a lot of work for a sustained long period of time, because then it's getting the first deal and then getting consistent deal and then, you know, getting a team. And then, so there's always another level. And so if you don't even get past level one, then you're not going to go far. But, you know,
Yeah.
so many people quit before they even get to level one.
Yeah.
So that was a
I've
high.
I've seen so many people come and go in the business, and that's really sad. A lot of people pay a lot for programs and so forth. And you know, one deal will really just change your life. I mean, we our KPIs, we average about an 80,000 profit per deal. So that's a salary for people. So one deal will really change your life. And a lot of people, it's a hard hump to get over to sustain this business, to keep on keeping the deal flow, or just to keep that drive to find that one deal. Your first deal is like popping your cherry for the first time. It's such a big burden of relief, and it's really that same feeling of like, I finally did it, and you learn a ton from it. You know, making money or not, you know, it's
You
such a
said you lost 80K on a deal, right? And
yeah,
that's with a coaching program, right? And
yeah,
like you said, some people that would crush you.
yeah,
But you
yeah.
knew, hey, I can bounce back from this. I know how to do this. I know the process. You know, maybe I didn't get the right deal, but that just means I need to find a better deal next time, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You learn from your losses, of course. A little, I didn't get to share. We've done a
Yeah, I
little
was
bit
gonna say, how many properties do you have right now?
qualify
What's
myself.
your
Yeah,
current
yeah.
property load look like,
We've
right?
done we've done about 80 million in buys and sells and flips. I think we did 26 million last year alone in buy and sells. That's about 80 flips. And then we have 16 rentals in Ohio, single family, double family duplexes. We have an 11 plex in Pennsylvania, and I just closed on 4 more here in Hawaii to take us up to 14 here in Hawaii. We have 45 doors total, and
Yep.
I'm in contract to buy 26 actually in Texas. I'm super excited because we're gonna dive into this in a little bit, because we've been flipping for a while, and flipping is a job. And I just started in the last couple of years to really start changing how to look for rentals as well, because flipping is still a job, and I have to grind at it, and I have to do it, and I struggle sometimes to make the money, but there's nothing like passive income, and the benefits of it, having all these rentals. I don't even I care much as the rental income that we produce. I just did my Hawaii one. We make about 10 grand a month. That was my goal, to hit 10 grand a month profit here in Hawaii. And it's the depreciation, it's the appreciation of it is even greater to write off my flipping. So we've been really diving in more into the, not more, but also changed our focus into finding rentals as well. We team up with people in different states. We work, strategize and make a deal work however we want. And a huge part, Alex talked about it, Will talked about it, is mindset. I used to say that Hawaii was too expensive. I couldn't find any good rentals because we follow the 1% rule and we buy in at a 70% rule. So I used to have that mindset. And I just talked to a realtor yesterday, a real estate agent, and she was like, Hawaii can't find no rentals following those rules. And you can't if you're telling yourself you can't. You can't if you say you can't. But once I changed my mindset to realize I can and there are and I will, I can and I will, and it just opens up the doors. It just kind of, that was a changing for me. It then all of a sudden, like, these deals kind of start kind of trickling in, and I don't know where they came from, and I can't remember those first ones that I got. It just kind of started showing up, in my inbox. It started showing up. I started kind of looking around the MLS for them, and then they just kind of started flowing in. And now the deals start just kind of flowing in naturally through, my always looking and always being out there. And we can talk into that in here right now, is how to find deals, as fix and flips, or as rental. Um, in the mainland, I hear.
Markets, right? Like you and Alex just moving out to Maui. So
Mhm.
like Los Angeles, where we're at, you've been doing this on Honolulu, in Oahu,
Yeah,
on the busiest island out there. So these aren't like where there's no competition.
yeah.
So, is that a good idea for somebody to get started by investing in that area? And I know both of you guys are great for this question, because Alex, you started in LA, and Indar, you started in Hawaii. So those are two very expensive markets. What do you guys think? Is that a good place for people to start, or what?
I think only if they have the mindset that they can believe they can do it. I
Yeah,
know that's a
yeah,
simple answer, but yeah, I mean, I wanted to start in my backyard, and that's what I went about it. But
yeah. It's
everybody's
easier.
different. Everybody's
It's a,
different.
it's a lot easier to just start where you live, where where you feel comfortable, where your neighborhoods. I made, I don't have it now, but I had like a map of my whole island, and I knew the price points for the whole island, and I can drive to it. Everyone at the beginning told me I couldn't flip Hawaii. It was too expensive, and you couldn't do it. A lot of naysayers, but those naysayers didn't have no money. They weren't millionaires. The naysayers are people normally who have less than me, and that was family members too. So the naysayers are a lot of times people who they couldn't figure out themselves. So how come you can? And you have to. For me, I had to change that of who I listened to, and I only would listen to high millionaires. I would listen to high net worth individuals. And I remember I got a deal at the beginning, and it was my dad. And my dad was like, you're gonna lose money. Don't do that deal. It's a horrible deal. And my dad's a great businessman, but he's not a millionaire. And and once I talked to a millionaire friend of mine, he told me that saying that I love is, you either do the deal, you make nothing, or you do the deal and you make something. And that just stuck in my mindset, that in these high-end markets, somebody's going to do the deal and somebody's going to figure it out. So when you're looking at a flip, it's either you're going to do it and you're going to figure it out, or somebody else is. So you kind of, I have that mindset instead of the lost mindset, of the scared mindset. I have the mindset of figuring it out. And at the beginning of my projects, I would take on the hardest projects because of the challenge, because of the um, I wanted to learn to grow, and to be a bigger flipper. I took on the hard ones that no one wanted, because that's all I was able to find at the beginning. And I figured it out, made money, and now every other project is a lot easier. So there's projects in every market, there's deals in everywhere, and you can't. To me, in Hawaii, you can't just focus on one avenue of finding deals. You can't just be a cold caller. You have to do it all to find deals. You have to network. You have to look on the MLS. You have to go to auctions, bandit signs, cold calling, driving for dollars. You have to do it all,
And are
because
you still doing those things, Indar? Like I know you have 14 deals. So like,
yeah.
are you still doing those small things every
Mhm.
single day? Are you still doing the cold calls? Are you still doing the email outreach? Are you still talking to agents every day? Are you still looking on the MLS? Or like, are you still doing those things?
Yeah, I do my kind of in cycles, I guess. I like, will try this and this and this. I kind of do like a little rotation. I have a guy that does do bandit signs for me. I have a little route for him that he'll go around and drive and hang those up. And I've gotten one deal from that. We tried different marketing campaigns at the time. We have a constant influx of realtors and people just calling about deals and sending me deals, and agents calling about deals. So we get deals in that way. And then I'm constantly diving onto different avenues. I'd say it is my weakest point, because I don't have a steady deal of like nonstop deals. I do know where to find them, but it'd be nice to have a more steady stream of deals, like cold callers and so forth, where cold callers can just automatically get deals coming in. So that is a weak point of mine that I'm trying to improve on. But
So you
most of the
guys
time,
heard it here. That's a high level real estate investor that's saying he needs help cold calling. So if there's somebody in the room that's a beast on the phone and wants to start working with one of the top dogs, that's what Alex always says is, how can you provide value?
yeah,
So I wouldn't reach out to him if you're not good on the phones, but if you can talk to people on the phones, maybe it might be something where you want to connect, because again, like Indar, this is incredible because it's the same thing that we do over here, right, Alex? How
yeah,
are we getting our deals?
yeah, yeah.
Cold
Right.
calls,
Yeah.
agents, marketing,
Hmm.
talking to people. So it's no coincidence, right? This is
Hmm.
this is how people are taking down deals. It's doing those small things every day over and over again. Alex, you said it at the beginning. It's and Indar, you said it too. Who wants to work the most? And I think that really does define who's going to get that deal. So, what do you guys think in terms of 2021? Like, what's the market going to look like? Can you still find deals in these expensive markets like LA and Hawaii?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, the consensus of what the smart people that I'm around they're saying is that, I mean, the interest rates are going to stay low. Inventory is going to stay low. Just keep a close eye on that. We've talked about it before, but I mean, we're seeing more increased deal flow, but that's also because we're expanding our team and we're getting more people trained and we're getting more people to know how to source these deals through different channels, right? And so I think it's a matter of just looking at the market. What do you have in front of you? What are the opportunities? And then seeing, from the higher level and from the low level, right? The high level would be like, what's going on in the world? What's going on with rates? What's going on with that? Lower level would be like, what strategies match my resources the most, match my skills the most? Let me attack those type of sourcing channels and then go from there. But what do you think about this year coming up here on us? We're almost halfway through the year, Indar. What's your prediction on where the
Oh
market is
yeah,
going?
I'm kind of a little saddened because I think everyone could be a flipper right now. Anyone could do a deal, and it scares me because people don't know the struggles of flipping back when it was hard in 2008. People might get into deals where you can push, you can be off right now on numbers because the market is so hot, you can oversell. We have a deal right now. We were anticipated ARV was 1.25, and we're getting offers into 1.5. So now if I was off in that rehab or if I messed up on numbers, I'm fine because I'm way over asking. But it's the best time to be a flipper right now. It's like I don't want to say you can't screw up, but there's room for forgiveness in deals. And you can do different strategies in deals right now. And I think this will last 2 to 3 years easily. I think we'll got 3 years solid at this. Right now we're kind of trailing off of, I don't want to talk politics, but we're trailing off of Trump's kind of policies, and all those are working out great. And we'll see what Biden kind of imposes on us and so forth. But with the supply and interest rates are the big controlling factors. The reason why I flip houses too and not do ground up development is because I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't want to have a crystal ball, and I don't want to know that. So flipping houses is a much more safer avenue for me, because in a development, project we've done, that's a year out, that is sometimes 2 years out with permitting. Um, and you don't know what's going to happen out predicting off of them. But in a flip, we can predict here and now just by pulling our comps, by pulling what has sold in the last 6 months, because in generally our flips are 6 months or less. So in a flipping project, you don't have to know the market well. You just have to know what's happening now in the market, what's be that expert in that neighborhood. I like to say on a deal, know what's sold, know what's active, know what's withdrawn, know everything in that neighborhood that you're looking at a project on. So we don't have to know the market as strong as somebody who's doing a longer term type of deals. And again, we are buying them below enough that we could get out. Worst case, we had a total 2008 happened, and if it's instantaneous, yes, we got to be a little worried, but we are buying them low enough below the market that we'd be okay. But obviously with the supply, just there's no supply. And I think with combination of higher lumber cost and a combination of less people selling homes, the supply is not going to get better anytime
quick
soon.
note on supply, because both Alex and Indar have brought this up, and again, I think this is really important. So one thing that Alex and I get once a week from our VA, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys so you can see this is our inventory report. And so we just got this today, and this is how Alex and I can gauge how much inventory there is in the markets that we're investing in. And so in LA today, there was 1,727 active homes, whereas last month there was 785. So we're actually seeing 60 less homes, which means we need to be a little bit more aggressive on the homes that are out there. And so, both Indar and Alex mentioned this, is how important the supply is of homes and how important the interest rates are. I think those are two, really, really important points for you guys to take out of that.
Yeah, because that's your product. You're putting a product on the market, and you're going to put that product on the market in 2-3 months, and those numbers are not likely to change drastically. So then, if your house is one of only 2 houses, that are on the neighbor, for sale, then what does that mean? That there's 80 people that want to buy the house, and then only one person can buy it. That means there's going to be a bidding war. So it's not a matter of us. We're not gambling. We're making decisions based on information and based on simple economics. There's this much supply. There's this much demand. And then understanding the factors that are revolving all that helps you make better decisions and move forward and have more confidence that you're not going to lose money. Because there's 2 things in real estate, guys. There's number one, the 2 things that are really, really most important: not to lose your principal and your capital, but right behind that, there's not to miss opportunities. And the challenge with that is they conflict with each other, and you got to know the difference. And that's the difficult part without experience, without taking action.
And that's what, a lot of people, I remember as a kid, was losing. Back in the day, you hear a lot of people would do real estate and try and make money on appreciation. They would buy deals and hoping that they would go up. So that was kind of the trend when I was a kid. My dad kind of dabbled in real estate. People would do deals in hopes they would go up, or real estate was moving a lot faster back then. And they would make money off of just banking on improving, it going up. And we don't do that. That's how you lose money like that. If you're banking on appreciation, you're going to lose money. So, as Alex was just talking, we are making money on understanding the market and knowing what we can sell at. And yeah, we get lucky and sell for more right now, but knowing being conservative and selling at what the market, look at the comps, and
So guys, you heard it: interest rates, supply. Those are 2 things to keep on when you look at the market overview, the high level thoughts about the market overview. You heard it from 2 of the best right here. I think those are some very important points to take. So you guys, you mentioned it, like you guys are both finding deals. How can someone who's a small timer, like a first time flipper, compete with people like you, larger, flippers that are in a market like LA or Hawaii? Is it something where you would maybe recommend, flipping remotely, or do you still think, hey, like there's deals everywhere, somebody just has to find them?
I want to say 2 things about that. First things, when I was working for the second investment company that I was working for, if I had done exactly what they told me to do, I would not have gotten them as many acquisitions as I end up getting for them. And the reason was because you have to, play with play your cards, right, because I saw that most people were not working on the weekends, the company I was working with. And I saw that, hey, there's a lot of real estate agents and a lot of deals to go look at in the weekends. So I begun to work the whole weekend. And that gave me the advantage because while I'm on Saturday at 11 o'clock looking at that property and making an offer Saturday at 5 p.m., that other investor is just getting to that listing because, you know, a lot of them were on market on Monday at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So I've already been negotiating. I've already been working on that, simply because I put in that extra time and effort. So you can make that up. And then the and the other thing is just constantly being able to be like make adjustments based off information. So the other thing that I want to make a point is that's why we went into the Antelope Valley, you guys, because I did a couple deals out there. I analyzed the numbers. I'm like, wait a minute, I could tell there's about less competition out here. I could tell the houses are a little bit newer, so the rehab was less. The purchase prices are actually less as well, so I'm gonna have to use less cash. Do I want to go out there to Antelope Valley? Not my favorite part of LA. Nothing against it. It's great, but you know, I don't want to be out there. But I want to be successful in this business, so I'm going to do whatever it takes. And that was another thing where I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe it is kind of saturated over here. Let me put my chips on, in here and see if I could make it happen over here. And that's exactly what we're doing. Where we're flipping in core Los Angeles, but we're also flipping in Antelope Valley, and we got a couple birds as well. So I think you got to kind of make adjustments and then read the field and see where your advantages are, and then double down on those, and not get attached to like wanting to do certain deals. You got to be able to make adjustments and pivot if something's not working, or there's something that's going to be a better return on your investment of time, energy, and money.
Indar, what about you, man? I mean, you think people can still compete?
Yeah, well, to me, the word competition I don't like to use in this industry, because I really think there's enough wealth and mindset for all of us to go around. And me and Alex, both agree on that, because we share we're secrets. We share our little things, like just emailing Will some of my tricks earlier. It's such a abundance, for all of us to get deals. And for me, on my first deal, here in Hawaii, I was scared, man. I'll tell you what, I was scared. It was a $700,000 purchase. I was rehabbing it for 120, and we were selling at $1 million. And I was scared. I was like, 20 something at the time. Didn't know what I was doing. It's a lot of money to me. To me, it was like my life was on the line right there. Looking back now, I could have failed and been totally fine, but I was scared. And for me, I asked everyone about this deal. I asked my mentors. I asked the program I was in. I put it out there, and it just made me feel better. And I partnered with somebody. I brought him in. He was done 3 or 4 deals at the time, and he helped me find the money. Long story short, he ended up moving away, and his hard money lender didn't lend to us. At the time, hard money lenders wouldn't lend to you unless you had deals on your belt. This is 2015. They were harder to get back then. So long story short, he moved away, and I ended up having to do the deal and figure it out myself, but I still had people to bounce it off. And I recommend partnering on your first deal with somebody or something, just for the security, safety net it out. And maybe you can figure it out on your own, and you probably can, but the learning part is more important, on your first deal, I think, than the actual deal. Yeah, it's great to make money, but give up half of that deal is better than not doing the deal at all. And
yeah. What I love what you're saying is just, again, the learning is more important. It supersedes everything. We all want to be profitable, you guys. I want to make as much money as possible, but not at the cost of learning something that's going to make me even more profitable down the road. But what I'd really like to change channels to is the rehab side of this business, because it's my nemesis. I hate it. I hate it. It's not something I enjoy. I constantly have problems with it. It really is a thorn in my side constantly, because I didn't do any construction. I don't know how to swing a hammer. Like, it's just not my area. But I see you just running all these rehabs. I've driven around with you before, and I know you have an engineering background and also have some construction background. But I really want to know, like, your mindset and kind of the rules, the processes, anything you can share with the tribe here of how you run rehabs, and then what your process is to get the most out of these these contractors, and then not take losses, not waste time. What can you share with that, Indar?
Let's start with first some of the documentation to work with the contract. So it is very good to have things, documents set up. A huge one is you want to have just one is your finish date. This was one that I get loose with. Is we give a contractor a finish date of, say, I don't know, 8 weeks, and then I'll throw an extra week on. If he finishes in 9 weeks, then he gets paid. If he finishes a day longer, we charge $150 a day for every day he goes after. If he finishes sooner, we give him a credit. We want him to make more money because it's beneficial to both of us. So having that contract to state a lot of these things is really, really important. Don't get too loose with it. Um, because there's a lot of, it's going to happen. I've been scammed by contractors myself. I have a T5 license. Um, it's not a scam. It's just they take your money and then they don't answer. And it's prevalent in the business. You'll hear it a lot from contractors. So this is how contractors work. I used to give bids myself. If you get a high bid on a contractor, it's probably because they're busy. They're slammed right now. The guys are slammed. There's a lot of DIY, everyone doing projects right now. They don't want your work. So they're going to throw a super high price out there. Doesn't mean that you were off on your rehab budget. That just means the guy was busy. So now you realize that you can find a contractor to fit to what your needs are. So the way to figure out a job and the cost and so forth, we used to use a kind of a breakdown of all the things and make it all break down. Then I got more easier into just figuring out the labor cost. On some of my deals, I take care of all the materials because then I can control that. You gotta figure that part out. 30 grand is kind of a norm for materials, but then the contractor, he can bid on a job a lot easier. When he gives a bid on a job, he doesn't know your materials. He's gonna mark that up to cover his butt because his 30 grand that you might have allocated for materials, he's gonna tell you 40 grand because he doesn't know. You might pick a more expensive this or that. So he's gonna mark up materials. So if you take that cost out of his struggles and just tell him to give you a labor cost, you can really get a better deal from him. And a quick way to figure out a labor cost is an average guy, probably across the state, United States is kind of probably like this. Average guys, the best guys, sorry, would be about 250 a day. So if a good guy costs 250 a day, your lower end guys maybe 150 a day, and then you kind of fill in between that. You can ask him how many days would it take you and how many guys would it take you to do this job? Come on, we can all do that simple math. You can take 250, be safe, say 250 times 3 guys. What is that a day? 750. How many days? Take that 750 now and multiply it by 8 weeks. Again, there's only probably 5 days a week and you work there, so figure out the math accordingly. And you can kind of figure out where he should be at. Now, some contractors will mark up another 30% on top of that because they want to make their side hustle. Maybe they're subbing it out. But I like to use the smaller time guys. Go to Home Depot. I was just with Alex on Maui. I went to Home Depot on the way to the airport. I put a sign up, contractors needed. Look for the smaller time guys. I look for the guys with the bus up trucks and the pukas and the shirts and so forth. Because they don't have to pay that office. They don't have to pay that staff and secretary. Those guys are great and all, and they're great for higher end projects, of course. But we are flipping a house here, so we want I don't want to say cheap, more affordable guys that can do the project. Because in actuality, those higher end contractors are gonna pay those guys anyway to sub it out or do the work. So we look for those smaller time guys, the handyman type of contractor, and we like the guys that can do it all. I used to piecemeal it all together and do a lot of subs, and it gets very time consuming to manage your plumber, your painter, your plaster guy. It's a very one can't work without the other. It's a common excuse. If you find a 3-man crew that can do it all, that's all you need. And it can be a small guy with 2 friends kind of thing. But again, make sure you get all the paperwork and everything. But to figure out his cost, just use that 250 a day and how many days, and you can ballpark his labor costs in that way. And if you guys are in the Midwest.
There's a great question in the chat. I don't want to forget this one in there.
Great question from Alan.
How does a newbie go about learning to buy materials for rehabs, for flips? Can you share your tips on that?
learning to buy materials. Yeah.
Yeah, just like
How
how
are
does one go about, like, okay, where do I buy stuff? What kind of systems
Oh,
do you have? What kind of, tips about
mhm,
just buying materials? Because that's a great tip, but then
yeah.
then you got to
So
learn, like, how to buy materials.
we're talking
so
about 30K worth of materials. So yeah, like
yeah.
what do you do about that, right?
So what I did on my first jobs, actually, so I buy everything from Home Depot. I'm one of the managed Home Depot accounts. I'm in bed with Home Depot big time. They come to my job. So on my first jobs, I would just walk around the whole job. I don't have it in front of me with a white piece of paper by room, and I would write down all the things I seen. Okay, we need drywall. We need I would just ballpark it. We need this much doors and windows. It's very easy to figure out. Construction is pretty easy to figure out. Then I write down all the things. I went to Home Depot and I went through each SKU at Home Depot. I picked out all my faucet. This is a day, okay, it takes a day away from my life. Okay, sorry. Write down the faucet in stock at Home Depot. I write down the SKU number. Excuse me, back then I was actually pulling them. I would put them all in a cart and I went and I had like 6 carts just lined up at Home Depot behind me, like pulling them down, spending a whole day there. And then I would go and pay for it all and set up for delivery. But you can do it in a day. You can walk around the property and figure out what kind of materials and stuff you need. It's construction is not rocket science, guys. Construction is pretty straightforward. You're not doing the labor. And if not, just ask your contractor, the guy you're bidding, what his material cost could be. Like keep the quotes separated. If you're not comfortable with that, just get a material cost from the guy separated. If you don't want to figure out your materials that way, or the other way is the contractor will do the job and he will buy the materials as he needs, and you just pay as a credit card through Home Depot on the pro service side. They can call and make payments as they do stuff, and that way you're still controlling the job in the sense that you're just buying what is needed for the job. um, be careful on the larger construction jobs of that, but that way you're in control of the material and you can do returns at the end, which I love. We do 5 grand in returns a lot of our jobs. I love getting money back. um, I'm a penny pincher, guys, so
What about Indar, about the week, like the weekly process? Are you seeing your projects every single week, or what advice can you give regarding, you're running these, multiple rehabs?
yeah.
How are you going about your week to make sure you're, seeing that the work is being done and you're kind of checking everything? Or
Yeah.
do you have a project manager, or how do you project manage?
On deals where we partner, I'll have my partner be the project manager of it, and that's his job to keep me updated as well. At first, with the contractor working with them, yes, I am micromanaging down to the T. I micromanage a lot, but now I don't. Now I don't have to micromanage. They guys know what they want. I know what they know what I need done. They know what to get, what to do. I don't have to talk to them. I mean, I know all these crews going off right now, and I don't need to talk to them. I like construction, so I do go once or twice a week to job sites, but that is actually a downfall of mine because I don't have to go there. I like being around construction. I got tools in my truck that are brand new, and I just like having tools. But um, I like being around construction. I like to see it, but honestly, my time is better spent in the office. And having a good contractor sending you just a report every Friday, what's going on, or texting and calling you. We can do everything on the phone nowadays. Everything's on the phone. Even I don't go to Home Depot for materials. I just text Home Depot that I need, 100 pieces of 2x4s, and they'll send it. If I even have to order stuff, which is a rarity now, but you can control it. And it's just like Alex kind of talks about in a lot of his programs. He's really great at teaching people and bringing people in how to do things, and then taking it over. And that's the same process with a contractor. And you don't need a project manager necessarily, because your contractor is the project manager. And that's what I teach my contractors, is how to be the project manager and to make sure they're getting all the materials. And it's just, I'm a penny pitcher. I hate to give up sometimes, and I know they can handle running the job just fine. than more so my project manager, and he can send me pictures every Friday, or I drive around every Friday. But
That's huge, man. What other challenges are you seeing? Like, again, we talked about this. You're flipping 14 mega properties in
yeah.
a very expensive market. What are, the biggest things that you're waking up as and like, man, this is a challenge. I got to figure out how to do this today. I got to connect these dots here today. Like, what does that look like for you?
Um, for me, I still obviously struggle with challenges of money, because we have so much flow. I flow 150 grand in and out of a week sometimes. I used to have $60,000 mortgages when I was running all these huge mega. I was doing like $3 million flips at the last year, and we great book, Profit First. We just transitioned from that book into these different sub accounts, and just instead of working out of kind of 1, 2, 3 accounts, we are creating multiple accounts. So the money flow is definitely a big struggle. A huge learning point for me was, so when we do a construction, when we do a rehab, we get money from a hard money lender. We get 100,000 from a hard money lender. We don't get that 100,000 up front. We get it as we do work. We do draws. And a lot of times in construction, the first part of the job, you doesn't show for much, but a lot of money goes into it front. A lot of money goes up front. So how do we recoup that money? Or I was carrying that money. I was 30 grand times 15, of money that was just all, and I didn't account for that. So what we do now on our rehab budgets, I got to do one right now, is I front load it. And I learned it from a hard money lender. He's like, I was being super honest. I was telling, okay, permits cost this, demo cost this. I was being super honest what the cost was. He's like, we don't really care about that part. We just care about the overall number. So I would front load it now. Now I do is down, permits cost 20 grand, and windows, the things we're doing at the beginning, windows cost 15, demos 15 grand. So when I went to do my first draw, I can recoup a lot more money sooner than to carry all of that money. And it was hard when you're doing a lot of projects, is to the carrying of all the money. And I heard it before, from somebody else, is you're rich in what you got going on in projects and flipping rich, but you have no money to show for it. And it's because it gets spread out into multiple projects. So now we front load projects, and we make sure we fund now at least a third extra for our rehab budgets. So even though we have 100,000 from our hard money lender, we will get a third from our investors and our private funds that we need to cover any of that cost or so forth. Another hard part of the deal is on these mega flips. If 6 months or 9 months is a very different number in what you need, cost, and so forth. And so figuring that out or not figuring out properly can really hurt you when you're doing anything over $1 million, because that's an extra 20, 30,000 that you didn't account for. So that's another great reason to overfund. When a project
holding costs definitely go up when the property price goes up, right?
Yeah, holding gets huge. We were doing a $3.5 million property. We had a $15,000 mortgage a month, and it was like 600 a day. I like to break it down, everything down to the T. I like to know every.
Alex does too. We know what it costs every day for that property, what it's every week, every month when the bill is due. That's definitely important stuff. So Indar, I'm going to share my screen real quick again, and we can go ahead and share a little bit about this property you had on Aloha Place in Honolulu, and kind of dive into this and give us some insight on this particular deal here. And again, let us know like what you kind of overcome on these projects, right? These are mega projects.
Well, this was a turning point for me, because this was a mega project, and there was 14 huge support beams underneath the house where we had to change and replace. And then my guys are old school. They're literally doing it with hammer and nails, man. These guys are old school. They're Filipino guys that built houses in the Philippines, and they can do these kind of crazy, scary things. And this was just one of my first projects that I took on. I think this is 2017 we did this thing. We sold at 1.3 million, I think we did it at. And I took this hard project on that no one wanted and figured it out. and you can keep scrolling. It was just a huge mega home. They actually use, if you guys buy golden cabinets here in Hawaii, they use this homes right here, this picture right there. That's their website. They use all my pictures from that house right there. So it's cool to be featured in a couple magazines from this home. And it was some famous architect who designed this, built it back in the day. But taking on this hard project that again no one wanted, and you can see you can't see some of the support beams right there. Some of these big support beams and stuff like that all got to be changed out, and it's a massive undertaking when you're looking at a job like that. You know, this was sitting on an acre of land that wasn't usable. So making it desirable for somebody, you know, is definitely a hard part of it all too. And you know, again, somebody's going to figure out this deal and somebody's going to make it. And this is talking about private money lenders. So we
And I was
showcase.
going to say that, Indar. So, like, again, these are multi-million-dollar houses that you're doing, right? So when you do the funding side of these deals, you mentioned kind of overfunding and getting a third more on the construction budget. And guys, when you put together a pamphlet like this, it's pretty simple to ask for hard money or for private money because,
Yeah.
you know, again, you're putting your work right in front of them. It's, hey, this is the product that I produce. I'm in magazines, I'm in articles. Do you want to be a part of that product? And you know, it makes it a lot easier for people to see. So I know
Yeah.
you said you do send this out, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So I had a quick, I think Fiverr, somebody on Fiverr just made this thing up for me. And I use this to send out to some of my investors or just people just of credibility. It's like a nice credibility pack to say, here, you know, look what I can do. And at the beginning, I actually had a different packet, and it was the mentorship, the program I was in, it was work they did. And I just use it. Here's work that I could do. So it doesn't actually have to be work that you've done. If you're part of a mentorship, or if you partner with freaking Alex, for example, get some of his projects and say, here's the type of work that our team has done. So you can sell it in the sense that here's what we can do. This is what our team can do, you know, not necessarily just you. And you're just trying to create that credibility of, you know, we can do this, and that, you know, I'm not just, it brings more professionality and a lot of
Yeah,
aspects.
and I want to add something real quick, Indar. A lot of people ask me about that too. Like, oh, how do I raise private money? How do I get, get people to lend me money? I don't have any deals. I'm like, that's really hard when you've never done a deal. Like I wouldn't lend you money if you never done a deal.
Yeah.
And
That's why you JV. That's why you JV.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I worked hard to either work for somebody else to save money and then make them money and learn the business. And then I use my own money. But everybody has a different path. But I see a lot of people that are like, oh, they want somebody lending them money before they even know what they're doing. So it's like, do you really want to borrow your aunt's or your uncle's or your friend's money? And when you don't even know you can execute, it's probably not the best idea either. So I think there is definitely something to be said about that. Like, yes, you can raise capital, but at this point, you probably had already done 20, 30, 40 deals, and then it becomes easier because you've already kind of taken your hits, and you've taken some losses, you've learned a lot, and they're believing in you executing that deal. But how can they believe in you if you haven't shown that you can get that done? Like, it's pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, I think that pro forma that you have is incredible because it not only shows, you can send that to a homeowner, a seller, and say, like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to transform your family house into a new house for a new family. And somebody would feel pretty confident and be like, man, I would love for my house to look like it's in a magazine. I would love to send that to my kids and be like, look who gets to take over this house now. So that truly is incredible. Real quick, Alex, what did you have to say?
Yeah, what I wanted to say is just on this next kind of transition to what we're talking about here is because I get this sometimes too. People know me a little bit more as a house flipper, right? That's kind of a little bit more of like my brand. So kind of I get this kind of house flipping shaming, right? Oh, you want to flip everything. What about passive income? What about all that? Yeah. And my response to that is like, okay, well, there's the path of working a 9 to 5 or doing some type of business and then accumulating rentals, like maybe one a year, maybe one every other year or something like that. And then there's other paths such as what I'm working on and what Indar has already done, which is building a real estate investment business that you can make multiple 6 figures, possibly even 7 figures, and then being able to buy more properties because now you have a machine that's sourcing deals. So I want to know from you, Indar, based on that, because sometimes I just kind of get irritated when people are just talking shit about, flipping houses and like that. Well, where the fuck else can you learn to make $500,000, $1 million a fucking year, and then, buy a lot more fucking rental properties? What my
Yeah,
response is.
exactly.
So I don't want to fucking hear it, to be quite honest.
It's the biggest markup of any item. See this pen right here, made in China, what, 50 cents, and we're buying it for $10. I can
Yeah.
take this house behind me and I can buy it for 100,000 and sell it 500. It's the biggest markup of anything possibly manufactured or made besides commercial real estate. So
I want to know from you, Endor, when did you kind of go through that transition in your mind, or how was that transition to saying, hey, now I'm making good money, let me start incorporating the BRRRRs and the rental property? Because that's what this year is for me as well, for the team. We're working on scaling the flipping company, so that way all of us have more opportunities to grow our wealth and to go ahead and start investing into the rental side. Shout out to Paul over there, because he's a big part of that kind of for my business is getting the rental properties out there in the Antelope Valley. But how did you transition, or how do you start adding that and start building your portfolio? At what point did you do that?
It's funny how you're kind of just starting working with Paul, is because that's how mine kind of started the same way. Is I had that inclination of, I was getting burnt out of flipping. I did some big flips at the time. And I was burnt, man. I was pounding these things out, 20 plus flips a year, multi-million dollar crazy stuff. It's burning me out. And the money was just flowing back in and back out into deals. And it's like, what do you have to show for it at the end of the day? And what do I have to show for my kids? And I started learning about the BRRRR process, and that was just, I was just in love with that at the time. I learned about it before. It was never called BRRRR before. And that just kind of started piquing my interest of how to get properties for nothing. Like I love the idea of having a property with no money in it. I literally will look at a deal and somebody tells me they have like, I don't know, 100 grand into the deal and it's cash flowing. I'm like, my mindset is you're not cash flowing until you make your 100 grand back. To me, my mindset is you're not making money until you get your money back out. But I think differently into people, into properties. And I did like Alex was just doing. I partnered. I was just looking and I partnered with somebody in Ohio, and his name's Alex too. And I started getting those ones in Ohio and started realizing the ease of it. And it's just like a flip in a sense. And we're just now keeping him. And once I started that, I just took that same process and I started incorporating more and more in Hawaii. And then now we're doing the same BRRRR process in multifamily. Multifamily is a little different in the BRRRR process. If you guys want to, I can touch on that. But multifamily is now my new mission, I guess you can say, because I'm really into net worth. Net worth is a cool number to me. And single family rentals is great and you can kind of move up. But when you start buying these big multifamily things, your net worth jumps huge. And the whole underlining factor of it all was my why. I got a property a little while ago, and my goal for it is to have it paid off. It goes to my son and it pays itself off into 18 years. So here you go, son. Here's a property free and clear 18 years from now. You can do whatever you want with it. You can property manage it. You can sell it. But how awesome is that to give to your son compared to having a bank account or something? He learns now, the value of so much different avenues. And that was a huge, huge turning point. I remember for me hearing that, and trying to create that for my son and for my family, because it's so awesome to leave generational wealth down to your kids and your kids' kids, because then they don't have to struggle in life. My grandkids I know will be well off, at least by the time these things are all paid off by then. But now I have, it's cool to say I have properties I can leave to my kids.
So Indar, I know we're getting short on time here. I want to hear from you. What are some like quick ninja tips you have that some people here in the room are just gonna, absolutely, change their game? This is it, quarter two coming up to wrap here pretty soon. Like, what is gonna really shift the game for these people moving into the summer here?
So I love to end up with this kind of thing. And I told these guys that I have these ninja tips that I just kind of keep building up. And I love to share with everybody these little tips and tricks of the trade that we learned through the years. And if you guys have a pen, write this kind of stuff down. I'll fly through some of them. Some of the easy stuff are when you finish a project, especially a multi-million-dollar project or something big, hire a building inspector at the very end. Have the building inspector come through, a homeowner inspection, sorry, have him come through, $600, whatever it may be, have him give you the punch list. Normally it's like an 80-page report, whatever it is. You take that report and you give it to your contractor, and that's your contractor's final punch list. In doing so, now when you go to sell that house, they won't catch you for any credits. You should have hit every major thing on that report. So then they won't be able to catch you for any credits. When you sell $3 million homes, generally these are savvy investors. They're going to want credits. They're going to try and hit you for anything. But if you caught all of that kind of stuff, that $600 report probably just saved you thousands of dollars. So hire a home inspector to go through the house, because I'm not going to crawl up in the attic and put a little suit on and look at that little plug in the corner of the section over there. I'm not going to do all that. No, even your contractor guy's not going to do that. But if you pay somebody to do it, you will. Yeah, he may miss a few things here and there, but you should in general get all the big major items. Here's a awesome trick I do now all the time is, so we have a holding cost. We know how much it costs us every day to hold these properties, as Alex does on his. So we normally, if say your holding cost is $200 a day to hold the properties, we will credit the seller when we're in escrow. I do this kind of verbally on the side, for you agents. I kind of keep it on the side. We credit the seller $100 a day to close sooner. You think you're losing money, you're actually gaining money, because if it costs you $200 a day and you're crediting them, $100 a day, you're saving those $200 for every day you close sooner. And really, if you do the math,
you mean the buyer? You mean the buyer, right? The buyer.
Yeah, the buyer.
Buying
Yeah.
the property from you as a flip. You're giving them a credit to close early because it's costing you money every single month, every single day, no matter what.
Yeah. So it just helps out, and you kind of hate giving away, but it really benefits you, and it presses them to close faster. They'll press their lenders, they'll press their agents and everything, because they want that credit. So it helps everyone. In the
5 days is $1,000 back. That's huge for the buyer, right?
That's huge, and it saves
and
you
it's
money.
huge for you. That's a week of less interest and less, all those holding costs. That's huge.
Here's another huge ninja tip. I know this one might be a little complicated. No offers equals no deals. I don't know, it's a complicated one, but I met so many newbies that analyze deals, and they look at a deal and it doesn't work, or should we put an offer in? Put the offer in. If you guys analyze the deal and took the time to run the numbers, and your number is way off from the listing price, throw that offer out. For us, our KPIs are about 21 offers gets one deal. So I'm just trying to get to 21, because I know 21 offers, I'll get a deal. So throw that offer, and you never know. I've gotten deals 6 months later. The agents call me back. Oh, is your offer still good? Yeah, it is. $10,000 less. It is. So we're always scared to put in offers, and I'm scared too, and I was scared. Just write the offer. We have an inspection period to get out of a deal. It's called a J1 here in Hawaii, to get out of that deal. So you can always get out. You can always ask for a credit if your numbers were off, but there's no better way to get a deal than to write an offer and to get your foot in the door. And it's a hard thing to do, and you guys, I know you know what I mean. It's hard because you're scared, sometimes, but just got to do it. Another huge part of it, another trick, I guess, master the neighborhood. I talked about this earlier. Master the neighborhood, be the expert in that neighborhood, especially when you're about to start a flip. When you're talking to agents, when you're talking to people, you want to know what home was sold down the way. You want to know what the market is like here. You want to be that expert, because not your agent, not anybody else, because it's your money at stake. If this deal goes south, the agent doesn't have to pay for it. Anyone else, their lenders included, it's not their fault. You're going to lose money. So You need to be that expert in that neighborhood. You need to be withdrawn with everything active. Here in Hawaii, if just go on Oahu RE, you can see for yourself the activity.
Can I add something real quick before you go to the next one?
Yeah.
I did that a lot as well in LA because LA is so large. The territory is, I mean, there's so many different pockets where when I would look at an area that was hot with a lot of activity, a lot of flipping, a lot of investment deals, I would drive to that neighborhood and literally just drive around and not even driving for dollars, just getting familiar with the neighborhood, like observing the people that live there, going and having lunch somewhere in the same neighborhood, really understanding like why are people paying this much for property in this area? Because a lot of areas I didn't know. I was aware of where they were at on the map, but how many neighborhoods have you been in it? And are you planning to do just business in just one area? I'm planning to do business across Southern California and across Hawaii. So I got to know a lot of neighborhoods. So that's a lot of market intelligence I have to, understand. So, but that means going through listings. And a lot of times, you guys, this is another ninja tip. When you go to the listings of all these properties that sold and they're active in the area, if you read the description, it tells you little things. Oh, this is happening, this development. Oh, it's by this thing. Little things that you find out just by reading listings. And I would read dozens and dozens of listings, and then I got more familiar with those areas. And so when something else came across my desk, I'm like, oh no, the ARV is not this because of this. I already knew that area, and that gives you credibility with the people that's pitching you the deal that they don't even know that area that well. So a lot of benefits there. Next tip, ninja tip. Thank you.
Now the ninja tip was huge. Credit card games. Credit card games are huge. When I was first starting flipping, I was trying to find money. How to find money? You can go on to what is it called? Rewards. Shoot, I can't think of the website. There's a website. Just Google it.
That tracks like credit card.
It tells you all the best credit cards to get. Something I can't even think, but he would tell you all the best credit cards to have and get in your pocket. All credit cards, most all of them will have like a 15 months, no interest, so you can use that on a flip. You can get a $20,000 credit card with no interest. You can use a website called Plastic with a Q to pull that money out of that, pay your contractors. You're not paying for 15 months. It is a ballsy game to do, but that's a line of credit. That's we have 150,000 in credit cards available to us that we use, and we get tons of points. And I used to, my buddy Tim, Tim taught me about it, that he runs his whole company off of a credit card, and he just gets a ton of points and travels for free. So there is a huge credit card game, and that's just money available for everyone out there to get, even if it's 20, 40 grand getting a line of credit with Home Depot. That's money available. That's nice to have ready available.
To Warren and Kenny C, it's the Points Guy.
Yeah, the Points Guy.
The Points Guys is the website that shows
the one.
What's the best credit card to get into. So thank you guys for coming through on that.
Yeah, that's an awesome website. The Chase Ink and Chase Sapphire, pretty much the #1 credit card. If you don't have them, go get them. They're badass too. They're metal, so when you throw them down. But talking about credit for a second here. Credit is, you don't need an 800. Your goal is not to get an 850 million credit score. Your goal is to keep about a 730. You need to be using your credit is the goal in life in general. It's not to be, when you have an 850 credit score, that means you have no debt, you have no nothing. There's good debt and there's bad debt. So we are trying to develop and stay at a 730-ish credit score, but still utilizing our debt to make money. Another part of it all is, now leading into that, is to be a professional money finder. That is another #1 thing in this business, is to constantly finding money, from banks, getting lines of credit, personal lines of credit. You can do HELOCs. American Savings Bank here in Hawaii will give you a $20,000 line of credit. Central Pacific Bank will give you a $50,000 line of credit. Now that's money you can just have sitting and never use it until that deal comes up, and you can use it for gap funding, for construction, whatever. So start being a professional money finder, talking to people and finding private money, talking to hard money, finding different hard monies. I've went so far to call a BlackRock group down on Wall Street, and I tried to go directly to those guys. Screw every hard money out there. I was trying to go to the source, and get millions of line. We actually have meetings this Friday with banks to go get lines of credit with banks for lower rates. This is what the business is about. This is what real estate is about. It's about money, taking it and using it to make more money. So the more money you can find, the more money you can make. And that's a huge part of here in Hawaii to do these $1 million flips is our gap funds are huge, on a flip. So be a professional money finder, learn about deals with factor rates, stay away from those guys. Learn about different hard money lenders and shop around.
And guys, this is great stuff. I'm just gonna start letting some people into the room here.
Yeah, we're coming up on a hard stop at 1:30. I'm sorry, 1:30 Hawaii time, 4:30 your guys' time, because we have Will and I and Alex and Paul and I have another meeting. But let's get the group in and
Zoom beast. I can finish up.
Keep these nuggets going. Keep these ninja tips going. We're just gonna welcome everybody onto the screen and let them keep hearing all these gems that you're dropping, man. So keep going, please.
I can finish up with you.
But keep going.
Network, and do more networking. That's Alex is such a great I mean, he's a beast at this, and Will. This is the business. It is networking. That creates deals, that creates money, that creates everything. It creates relationships. This business is about networking. So networking is a huge thing. We used to have RIAs, go to the RIAs. That's why you guys are all here. Message me, message Alex. I love talking story. I love networking with you guys. Because potentially work together in a deal. You never know. You have a deal you might be concerned about, as scared about as I was on my first one. I'll take a look at it. I don't take people's deals. I got enough going on. I'm fine. But I talk to people about deals all the time. A couple more tricks here. Front loading. We talked about front loading. Front loading a deal, make sure your rehab budgets are front loaded. And we are all scared at this business. We're all scared at the numbers. So that's why we educate ourselves. We get education. We come onto these groups and we learn from each other to make our scared less scared. So don't be scared. I'm fearful. I have sleepless nights. I bought a flip today and I didn't even realize it. But we're always scared of what's to do because there's more to overcome. And the last part of it all is what's your time worth? This is a huge one for me. Is my time worth it? And this is my problem, and Alex has been helping me with it. Is my time best valued at going to the job, going to Home Depot, picking up materials, or is my time better valued at finding more deals? Because when I go to, say I'm swinging a hammer and there I pay my guys $30 an hour, is my time valued at $30 an hour? Or is it really valued at my goal is 500 an hour is what I need to make? Is that producing 500 an hour? So a lot of times we think we are saving on our flip by doing the work ourselves, being the contractor on the job, being the, I like to do the landscaping on the jobs. Is our time valued at $15 an hour paying a guy, or is it valued more at finding a deal, finding more money? So, really take into account your time and what is it valued at. And so much so now, so I don't, I entertain different conversations with people where if it's going to benefit, my time, my value of my time, I'm not trading time for money anymore. I'm trading money for money. So yeah, I think that was
huge ninja tips.
Ninja chips.
Yeah, these are unreal. Again, I think everybody here had to have taken some value from it. Alex, I believe we owe Indar $750 for the hour and a half of his time here today. Again,
500 an hour is what it takes to be a millionaire a year. It's 84,000 a month and million a year.
Awesome, guys. Well, I think we're just coming to an end here. Anybody else want to say anything? We got a couple of minutes before we got to wrap things up. I know we ran a little bit long, but I think you guys all agree that it was worth it.
No, lots of people on here. Seeing all the people finally.
Yeah, man. We have over 45 people that stayed in a half an hour late just to keep hearing those ninja tricks. And I think everybody in here, I see Victor, he's got his notepad out. Like I think everybody was absolutely enthralled with all the stuff that you were dropping, man. These are huge gems that you were dropping on folks.
And I don't know.
I don't know. Tribe is strong, man. I love it.
I don't know a lot of guys. I don't know half this stuff. I see Daniel down there. Daniel's smarter than me. Daniel knows way more stuff than me.
Yeah, me too. He's
But
smarter than me too.
it's just action, man. It's taking action, and that's what it takes. So, yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate you. We'll see you guys next week. You know, we're always here on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, California time, and you know, for you Hawaii guys, a little bit earlier at 12 o'clock. If you guys ever need anything, you know, reach out. Indar put his information there in the chat. You know, me and Alex. Let us know if you guys need help with deals. Like Indar said, like, you know, these things are scary at first, but when you partner with somebody who already knows what they're doing, you get to lean on that partner. You get to use that partner's scope of work. You get to use that partner's past relationships, past deals, and you become a partner on the deal there. So let us know if you need anything, guys. We're always just a call or text away. All right.
I will see you guys, some of you beautiful and handsome faces in LA next week. Let's go.
Yes.
Follow me on
LA,
Instagram.
Guys,
My Instagram.
while he's out here.
Indar Hawaii. Follow me on my Instagram too, please. Indar Hawaii. Shoots, guys.
Indar, you're the man. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. See you guys.
See you guys.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Aloha.
And guys, I think Indar is going to share a copy of that pro forma on the Facebook group for you guys as well. So if you guys want to take a look at that, he'll put a copy up there for you guys to see also. All right.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
my man.
Thank you.